She challenges your words, not to argue, but to measure your strength. When a woman questions your opinion, mocks your decision, or throws in a sarcastic remark about something you said, she's not trying to be difficult. She's not looking for a fight. She's trying to feel you. Not physically, but energetically, emotionally, psychologically. She wants to know, is this a man who can hold his frame, or will he crumble under pressure? Most men misread this test. They assume it's about approval or making her happy, so they fold. They over-explain, backpedal, apologize for their choices, and scramble to regain her favor. And just like that, they fail, not because they're bad men, but because they don't understand the game being played. They think they're solving a problem, but what they're really doing is signaling weakness. You have to understand, this isn't a conversation. It's a frame check. She's stepping into your world, tapping on the glass and watching how you react when she shakes it. Will your words shatter under tension? Will your confidence bleed out the second she disagrees? If so, she won't say it, but she'll feel it. And what she feels is this: this man doesn't lead himself, so how could he ever lead me? It might start with something simple. You suggest a place to eat. She raises an eyebrow and says, "Really? That's what you picked?" You laugh nervously, pivot and say, "Well, we can go somewhere else if you want." Seems harmless, right? It's not. In that one moment, she saw everything. She saw a man who can't stand by his decisions. A man who believes peace is bought through surrender. A man who fears disapproval more than he values his own judgment. But a high-value man moves differently. He doesn't react to disapproval like a child seeking praise. He responds like a man rooted in clarity. He doesn't get defensive. He doesn't try to force his way either. He simply says, "Yeah, that's what I picked. Trust me, you'll like it." Calm, centered, unshaken. Because leadership isn't about control, it's about certainty. And certainty is magnetic. Machiavelli once warned, a prince who is not himself wise cannot be wisely advised. In other words, if you don't trust your own judgment, you'll always be led. And once others start leading you, even subtly, they stop respecting you. Because deep down, leadership is not about status or wealth or domination. It's about emotional gravity, the ability to stay firm, not loud, unmoved, not inflexible, grounded, not rigid. This is what she's searching for when she challenges your words. She wants to feel the presence of a man who doesn't collapse at the first sign of resistance. A man who doesn't explain his worth because his energy already does. A man who doesn't need her approval to be sure of himself. When you embody that presence, something changes. The tests stop. The sarcasm fades. The resistance dissolves. Because now, she feels safe. Not because you overpromised. Not because you begged. But because you passed the test that most men never even see. You showed her without saying it that you don't need to prove anything. You already know who you are. And that is the man she follows. She pulls away, not to leave, but to watch. You react. One day she's warm, engaged, affectionate. The next she's cold, unreachable. Her replies slow down. Her tone changes. The spark fades, not with a bang, but with a whisper. And most men panic. They assume something is wrong, something broken, something they need to fix. But here's the truth. Most never realize she didn't pull away because she stopped caring. She pulled away to see if you would. This is the second test, a silent one, but far more dangerous. Because it doesn't come with raised voices or dramatic exits. It comes in the quiet, the fading attention, the disappearing warmth. And most men fail it without ever knowing they were being tested. They react, they double text, they ask, "Did I do something wrong?" They try to win her back with gifts, reassurances, or plans. But what they're really doing is proving they've lost the most attractive quality they once had: composure. You see, when a woman pulls back, she's not always asking for more. Sometimes she's checking to see if your confidence relies on her presence. She wants to know, is this man whole without me? Or is he addicted to the validation I provide? And if you chase, if you rush in to fix what hasn't even been broken, you answer her question loud and clear. You're not centered. You're not sovereign. you're dependent. And a man who needs emotional reassurance to feel steady is a man she can't trust to lead. Machiavelli understood this dynamic centuries ago. In his writings, he warned a wise man ought to adopt such a course that his enemies may not know how to attack him. In the world of relationships, the enemy isn't her. It's your own emotional predictability. The moment she can predict your reaction, she owns the frame. And once that happens, you stop being the man who led with purpose and become the man chasing closeness out of fear. But there's a better way, a stronger way, a way that flips the script without saying a word. Don't chase energy, command it. When she pulls back, hold your posture. Don't text more. Don't beg for clarity. Don't force connection. Instead, return to your mission. Hit the gym. Build. Read. Create. Let your absence speak louder than any neediness ever could. Because when you remain calm in the face of emotional withdrawal, you show her something rare, emotional independence. You become the man whose self-worth doesn't fluctuate with her mood, the man who doesn't crumble when affection disappears. And that's magnetic. Here's the shift: match her energy not with resentment, but with strength. She pulls back. So do you gracefully. Not to play games, but to remind her, you don't beg to be chosen. You already chose yourself. And when she realizes that you're not shaken by distance, that you're not waiting at the edge of her affection, like a starving man hoping for scraps, she feels something she didn't expect. Respect. Because the man who doesn't chase approval commands attention. The man who can be silent without being passive, still without being cold, becomes unforgettable. Not because he said the right things, but because he stayed unshaken. She creates chaos, not to break you, but to feel if you can hold the frame. It starts small, a raised voice, a sudden accusation, a conversation that spirals into argument before you realize what's happening. She interrupts, she provokes, she throws emotional fire into what should have been a calm exchange. And you feel it. The pull, the temptation to snap back, to defend yourself, to meet her intensity with your own. But what you may not realize in that moment is this: she's not trying to destroy you. She's trying to feel you, to see if your calm is real or just a performance. This is one of the most misunderstood dynamics in modern relationships. When a woman creates chaos, most men take it personally. They get defensive, they raise their voice, they explain, they argue. They believe the louder they speak, the more they'll be understood. But she's not listening to your words. She's watching your behavior. She's observing how quickly you lose control, how easily your center can be shattered. Why does she do this? Because women don't follow men who react. They follow men who lead. And leadership isn't proven when everything is smooth. It's proven when everything feels like it's on fire. When she becomes the storm and you remain unmoved. When her chaos meets your clarity and loses. Machiavelli wrote, "He who is the cause of another becoming powerful is ruined." In modern terms, if she can make you reactive, she controls the frame. And once she has emotional power over you, it doesn't matter how strong you were before you've surrendered your authority. You've become a man ruled by mood, not mission. Picture this. You're in a calm discussion, and she suddenly brings up something you did weeks ago. Your tone shifts. Your voice rises. You defend yourself not because you're wrong, but because you're desperate to be understood. But in that instant, you've already failed the test. Because she wasn't testing the facts, she was testing your fortitude. The man she respects doesn't match chaos with chaos. He disarms it, not through force, but through grounded presence. He lowers his voice. He slows his speech. He locks in eye contact, not to intimidate, but to stabilize. And when she throws emotional punches, he doesn't flinch. Instead, he calmly says, "We'll talk when this is respectful. I don't argue. I lead." This isn't about being cold or dismissive. It's about being sovereign. A man who can't regulate himself can't regulate the relationship. And a woman will never surrender to a man she can emotionally shake like a snow globe. Here's the truth. If she can pull you into her chaos, she will never feel safe around you. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're unstable. Your leadership can't be trusted if it only works when she's calm. But when you show her that her storm doesn't define your behavior, that you choose the battlefield and you choose the tone, something shifts. She softens. Not because you forced her, but because your stillness gave her something to trust, something to lean into, something rare. Because the man who leads with silence, not shouting, with clarity, not control, becomes the anchor she didn't know she needed. And when that happens, she no longer tries to test your center because she finally believes you have one. When she says she needs space, she's watching to see if you'll fall apart without her. When she looks at you and says, "I just need some space," it hits like a punch to the chest. Your heart skips. Your mind races. Is this the end? Did I mess up? Should I fight for her to stay? But stop. Breathe. Understand something few men ever do when she says she needs space. She's not always trying to leave. You're being tested. Silently. Strategically. She wants to know one thing. Can you stand on your own? Or do you lose yourself the moment she steps away? This is not cruelty. It's instinct. A deep, unconscious mechanism built into her psychology. She needs to know if your identity is built on her presence. Because if it is, you're not a man. You're a mirror reflecting whatever she gives you. And when she pulls back, that mirror cracks. That's what she's looking for, cracks. Weakness, emotional dependence. And the sad truth, most men show it instantly. They beg. They promise change. They plead, "Please don't leave. I can fix this. Just tell me what you need." But in doing so, they fail the test. Not because they're bad or unlovable, but because they're unaware. They believe love is about holding on tighter when it feels like it's slipping away. But true masculine energy doesn't grasp, it doesn't beg, it doesn't plead for connection. It respects space, it commands presence. And Machiavelli centuries ago saw this dynamic for what it was. He said a prince must learn to act like the fox and the lion. The fox to recognize traps, the lion to frighten wolves. This test is a trap of the softest kind. It doesn't look like an attack, but it is. And unless you respond with both emotional intelligence, the fox, and unshakable backbone, the lion, you'll lose yourself in your attempt to keep her. And once she sees you'll abandon your center just to hold on to her, the game is already over. Respect gone. Attraction fading. Love now feels like a burden, not a force. So what do? You let her go. Not with resentment. Not with games. But with dignity. When she says she needs space, you look her in the eye and say, "I respect that. Do what you need to do. I won't stop you." And then you go back to your mission. You don't wait around. You don't send sad playlists or quotes about soulmates. You move forward not because you don't care, but because you care about something deeper, your identity. And that's what shocks her. That's what shifts the dynamic. She expected desperation. She met detachment. Not coldness, not cruelty, clarity. The man who doesn't collapse in the face of loss is the man no woman forgets. Because deep down, she doesn't want to test your love. She wants to test your strength. You don't need to chase her to keep her. You need to show her that if she walks away, she's not taking your center with her. You want her, yes, but you don't need her. That difference, it's everything. Because the man who respects himself more than the approval of any woman becomes the one she fears losing the most. She doesn't want to destroy your purpose. She wants to know if it's real. There will come a moment in every serious relationship when a woman will challenge your mission. Not out of spite. Not because she hates it. But because she wants to know, will he abandon it for me? Will he trade his purpose for peace? And this isn't just about time or attention. It's about identity. She's not testing how much you love her. She's testing how much you love your direction. Because if you're willing to give that up, then you were never really on a mission to begin with. She says it quietly at first. You're always working. Or, you never prioritize me anymore. She looks hurt. maybe even disappointed. And for a split second, you feel guilty. You wonder if you've been selfish. You start to consider pulling back from your grind, skipping that gym session, putting off that project. After all, isn't compromise what love is about? But here's the uncomfortable truth. No woman stays attracted to a man who compromises his purpose to keep her comfortable. In the beginning, what drew her in was your focus, your ambition, the fire in your eyes when you talked about your goals. That energy made her feel something magnetic, something masculine. And when you put all that aside just to keep her smiling, something shifts inside her. The very force that made you desirable begins to dim. Machiavelli once said, "Men are ruined rather by indulging than by offending." Meaning when you sacrifice your edge to avoid conflict, you don't build connection, you build resentment, not just hers, but your own. Because deep down, you know the truth. You didn't adjust, you betrayed yourself. And now the woman in front of you is no longer looking at the same man she once admired. She sees a version of you edited for her comfort. A man who put down his sword to hold her hand. And in doing so, lost both. So what should you do? You stay the course, not with arrogance, but with clarity. The next time she questions your devotion to your craft, your fitness, your discipline, look her in the eye and say, "You matter to me. But my purpose built the man you were drawn to, and I'll never give that up." Say it calmly. Say it with warmth. But say it like you mean it. Because the man who stands rooted in mission is the man women respect even when they don't always like it. And if she truly sees your value, she'll adjust. She'll fall into rhythm with your path. Not because you forced her, but because she realized the man who walks with vision doesn't stop for approval. He leads. And if she can't walk with him, she'll be left behind. Never forget this. If you abandon your mission for a woman, you'll eventually resent her. And worse, she'll lose the very thing that made her feel safe in your presence, your direction. But when you stay true to your purpose, no matter who challenges it, you become the kind of man no test can break. And that is the man she never wants to lose. Stop performing. Start leading. In today's world, most men are taught to win approval, to be agreeable, responsive, emotionally available at all costs. But the truth is, the very things you're told make you a good man often destroy the core of what makes you a strong man. Women don't test you to be cruel. They test to feel your gravity, your center, your unshakable self. The real question isn't, does she love me? It's, can I hold my ground when she pulls away, challenges me, or brings emotional chaos to the table? Because if you need her approval to stay steady, you're not leading, you're reacting. And reaction is weakness in disguise. The deeper lesson: leadership begins with emotional discipline. The woman in your life, whether it's someone new or someone you've been with for years, isn't looking for perfection. She's looking for stability. Not a man who never gets challenged, but a man who never collapses under challenge. You must remember, silence is stronger than begging. Detachment is more powerful than over-explaining. And purpose, that's your anchor in every storm. You don't abandon your direction for love. You invite love to walk beside your direction. If she can't respect it, she's not meant to stay. So live this: be calm when she creates chaos. Be grounded when she distances herself. Be unmoved when she doubts your frame. And above all, stay loyal to your mission. Because the moment you stop chasing validation and start embodying presence, you become the man no woman wants to test, and every woman is drawn to follow.